So how are you rehearsing your play, bearing in mind that you can't get together?
I think the key thing is to stay creatively connected. You know, we constantly talk about this concept that our young people have to be creatively connected. That could be in a studio or that could be online. So what we're trying to do at the moment, we're running 3 productions. So let's talk about Midsummer Night's Dream. We've got a cast of 32 young people. And we've done a lot of pre-production stuff. We've allocated characters. We've spent a lot of time on context. And now we're going through the script. So for us, we go onto Zoom. We have 33 young people on my screen, right? I disable chat because otherwise it just becomes madness.
Yeah.
Before we start the rehearsal process, we go over all the all the rules of rehearsal as we would have in our studio. Just because we're at home doesn't mean those change, right? So we go over the rules. We go over how we're going to work, that this is a rehearsal studio. What we then do is we always play some online. We play some games just to get us thinking.
Right.
We've got some interesting warm-up sessions that we've sort of shared across with National Theatre and National Association of Youth Theatres. So we all share games together. So we'll play games for about 10-15 minutes just to chill everyone out. Then when we go into rehearsal, it's really important. Zoom has a really good mute function. So you can decide who to mute and who to unmute, because there's a lot of background noises. So what we tend to do is we mute everyone. I then mirror my text on screen. So we've got it on our website. They all have copies of the text. But if they want to read it as we go, I mirror that on screen. And then I unmute the characters. The characters then go through their lines so that everyone can hear. When we get to the end of a scene, I come out of viewing the script and we talk about the scene. So people just go, they just do a little hands up on their Zoom. And that means I unmute them and they ask a question, then other people can answer the question. So it's very much, it's a controllable rehearsal space. There are times when we unmute everyone and we get a collective voice. The problem is that the lag can do, doesn't go great with your ears. The other thing that we do is that we found that that we do a lot of pre-prep. So before they walk into the online rehearsal, there are things they need to do. So for instance, this week, I've given them 3 YouTube clips of various scenes that we're going to have a look at. They need to go and look at those YouTube clips before they come into the rehearsal space so that we can talk about what they've seen. I've got some images that I've shared on Pinterest that I want them to have a look at. I've got my artistic group who are doing all the backstage and work for this. We have our own Office 365 site. So we work on Office 365 of collecting images, because the moment we come out of this, we need to start building the stage and doing the lighting. So we have that approach. We also have breakout rooms. So we've just started working on breakout rooms. So when you've got 30 people online, you can then allocate 5 of them a breakout room, 5 of them another breakout room. You can give them a time limit in their breakout room. And then after that time limit, they all come back together on screen. You can then, as the host, you can jump into each of their rehearsal spaces, the individual rehearsal spaces, and work with them. So there is a lot you can do. Also, what we do is we'll say, okay, by next week, guys, I want you to record the scene, you doing the scene in your bedroom or in the lounge, whatever, right? Send me this. I'm going to put this on our members area of the website, because we have a members area. Go and watch, I don't know, Angelina performing, Titania. And then when we come back, can we review that piece, please? So there is, you have to be well organized. And it's, I've got to say, that's one of the 4 plays that we're doing. We're also doing some dance stuff at the moment. We're writing our own music, so we're muddling through it, but we're getting more efficient.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds great. I mean, you're able to do a lot of the things that you would normally be able to do, like sending people to go off and work in groups, and then come back and feed into the whole production. And I like the idea you've got of having the text up on the screen so that they've just got it there. They can just work from it for the read through. And so when you've muted all the other young people, what do they do? Are they all on their phones, or are they all kind of quite engaged?
So we have a very strict guideline.
Right. Okay.
So before every session, we go, okay, here's things, simple things like you will be dressed appropriately.
Yeah.
You will be sitting up and you will take notice as you would in a rehearsal schedule. The only phone that you are allowed is the phone that you're using to look at text. You will be in a space where you are uninterrupted for an hour. Okay. The chat screen on Zoom is not allowed. Okay. But as in a studio, our studio at Silhouette's fairly strict. So if I see someone that's not paying attention, I will say to them, I might send them a message and go, look, you need to be focused. Or if this is not the time for you and so much else is going on in your life, right, drop out of the session and I'll speak to you at some other time, because I'm aware that other people have got a lot going on. And I've always said, and the other thing that we've done is we've said, and I think we have to be like this. If you are not in the mood for rehearsal, or you're on an absolute downer, okay, or you just don't want to be seen, just send me an email going, Lee, I'm not coming to rehearsal tonight. Sometimes we record bits of the rehearsal that people can then go and watch at leisure. And I think it's really important that we give our young people that opportunity to go, I can't do this at the moment. However, we still got 30 young people on a weekly basis that are there. And I think what you're saying about sharing text becomes more important. We're looking at National Theatre's production of Cyrano de Bergerac, the last one, which was with James McAvoy, which was just lyrically exceptional. So we're looking at that text, so I can call the text up on my screen and we can go through words. We can go through, why the rhyme, the rhythm, the reason of the text. And it becomes a very, and with that group, I've only got 10 young people, and it becomes a really deep discussion around text and performance. And some of them will say, well, I wouldn't give them a go. And they will stand up and perform it to the rest of us. So, the only thing that frustrates me, I would say, more than anything, and you would know this, is the space between performances. Being in the same space as a performer, being able to block. So I was speaking to a really good director last night, and they use, and I'm just checking my notes, they use a piece of software, right? And the piece of software that they use allows them to stage block.
Right.
So they have images where people will stand and move. And I'm like, I'm on that. I'm absolutely on that, because it's the one thing that is the hardest thing. When you're going, well, if you go and stand there, if you go over there, if we move, that's really hard. So if I can, I'm going to grab his piece of software, and I'm going to see, because then I can send them and go, well, let's see if we can move these players around like chess pieces.
Yeah.
So,
that's well, if you find the name of that software, you could send it to me later, or have a up to you.
What I'm trying to look through. I'm trying to look through my meeting breakdown of yesterday, but I can't find it. I wonder because the other thing that's quite nice is if you're on Zoom and you're chatting to people, you can save a copy of the chat.
Yes, right.
Which is absolutely great, because then you can then you can just come back to it. And I'll tell you what it's called. It's called Capture. It's just called Capture.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have a go at that because it's good. And what he does as well, which he records all his Zooms, then he edits them for anyone that can't make the rehearsal. And I've done that a couple of times, but I haven't edited them. So I'm going to start working on that.
Yeah. Well, that sounds great, Lee, and sounds like you've found some really good solutions for working online. It's handy that you've got those kind of skills of, not everybody can leap online and replicate what they're doing in the rehearsal room.